Hi, I'm David Schwind, and I'm the 10DLC product owner here at Cinch. And I've been in the messaging space about 15 years with short code, toll free, and now 10DLC. 10DLC stands for 10-digit long code. It's a new local A2P conversational messaging solution for brands. It's been around about 2 years or so now, and it is really a new carrier sanctioned route for long code messaging in the United States. 10DLC impacts messaging in the United States by giving really the small, medium, local business owner the ability to do text messaging to their customers by creating a new sanctioned route for really that local business owner, whereby before they would have to use a toll free number or a short code to their customers. TCR is short for the campaign registry. The campaign registry is the information hub that allows businesses to register brands and campaigns for the 10DLC messaging programs. This is where everyone who wants to do business messaging over long codes in the United States needs to go in order to register those brands and campaign information. All businesses are required to register with TCR in order to do long code messaging in the United States. TCR's role in the industry is to provide a repository of information whereby content service providers, or CSPs, and aggregators, or directly connected aggregators, DCAs, can upload brand information, and then carriers can review and approve those brands and campaigns if they so choose. 10DLC registration is very simple. First, you need to register your brand. You'll need your exact tax ID, company name, and company address in order to register. If any of this does not match your tax filing, you will not get into a verified state, and you will not be able to send messages. So make sure that all this information is accurate before you register your brand. You want to ask yourself before you register, how many messages do I need to send in a specific day? When registering your brand at TCR, you have the option of vetting, which will result in a vetting score. This will enable you to send more messages per day. So you want to think about your throughput and how much you need to send on a daily basis. And then what type of vetting score will I need in order to send the amount of messages that you want to send? Next, you'll need to register your campaign, which is basically what is the use case that you're trying to do? How are people going to sign up? What is the description of the campaign that you're going to run? You're going to need sample messages, help and stop responses. And if you have terms and conditions and privacy policies, you'll need all of that information when entering in campaign information. This is where SMS-Magic or Cinch come in. We can do this registration for you. You'll provide the information like EIN, company name, address, etc., and SMS-Magic will take care of the rest. SMS-Magic on your behalf will take the information you've provided and go out to TCR and register your brands and campaigns for you. The consequences of not registering for 10DLC are multifaceted. So one is you'll end up with increased messaging fees. As of June 1st, AT&T and T-Mobile are increasing their fees on unregistered long code traffic. You might also experience penalties, specifically from T-Mobile, who have set up a system whereby if you go around this A2P program, or if you're sending disallowed content, you might end up with fines. As of July 1st, Verizon will be increasing their fees. You might experience blocking and filtering. And so on business messaging that is unregistered, you may see your messages get blocked, and potentially your brand might get blocked, which will prevent you from doing any long code messaging in the future. In TCR, they have instituted this brand blocking mechanism. And so what they also don't want is what they call jumping from either a 10DLC provider to another provider to another provider, or going and re-registering on a TFN or a short code. And so there is a potential for a brand to be blocked 100% across any sender type, depending on if they're supporting fraud or spammers. That is a real potential that they get blocked across all US sender types. You cannot send any volume of messages after you've registered successfully. Specifically, T-Mobile has daily limits and AT&T has very specific throughput limitations on the amount of messages that you can send. And it all depends on what your vetting score is. If you chose not to get vetted, then you will end up at the lowest tier, for example, on T-Mobile, where you're only allowed to send 2,000 messages per day. I strongly recommend doing vetting when you're registering your brand so that you will get a vetting score and you will potentially be in a higher tier on those carriers. You still need to register 10DLC if you have low volume. This is absolutely a must. If you're doing any type of business-related messaging, you need to register your 10DLC number. At some point, if you do not register messaging, you will get blocked and you probably won't be able to turn back on messaging on that number. Potentially, your brand might get blocked as well, forcing you to either not do messaging at all, or potentially you would have to move to maybe a short code or a toll-free number instead of a 10DLC number. Toll-free messaging, or TFN, is a great alternative to 10DLC. Toll-free messaging has been around in the US since about 2014. It's been in the market longer than 10DLC. Its processes and capabilities are well defined. They do require a similar registration process, and the throughput is very similar, although not as strict as 10DLC. Also, on toll-free messaging, or TFN, handset delivery receipts are also supported. So if that's important to you, it's probably best to get a TFN number. You can move your traffic from an unregistered 10DLC number to a toll-free number. The same rules apply, so you'll still need consent to send messages. You'll still need to go through the registration process, but absolutely you can move to a toll-free number. No, there are no other options for sending business messaging in the United States. All types, whether it be 10DLC, toll-free, or short codes, all need to go through a registration process. All application to person, or A2P, messaging has to be registered in order to run over the US carrier networks. My recommendations for businesses include absolutely go and register your brands and campaigns in TCR in order to run A2P traffic. That is an absolute must. Think about throughput when you're registering your brand. I'd highly recommend going through the standard vetting process if you'd like to send more than 2,000 messages a day on T-Mobile, for example. You want to get a higher score so that you can send more messages per day. Think about if you need MMS on your number. Some folks like to send videos or pictures in their messages, and for that, you'll need MMS capability. Ensure you're getting consent from your customers. Consent is a must for any US sender type. And when you register, ensure the information you provide is accurate. If you don't provide accurate information, you may not get into a verified state, thus you won't be able to send messages, or potentially down the road, if you're sending a different use case than what you've registered, you may also incur filtering or blocking as well. Changes coming on June 1st for 10DLC unregistered fees are specific to T-Mobile and AT&T. They are both increasing their fees for unregistered traffic on long code messaging in the United States. So you do want to make sure that you register ASAP in order to not incur these higher fees. As of July 1st, Verizon Wireless is also increasing their fees for unregistered 10DLC traffic.
I am Nitin. I am the CEO of SMS-Magic, and it's such a pleasure to have David share his wisdom and advice to our customers on 10DLC. A lot of things that you said were very intriguing. How the registrations are to be done and what's to be looked for, when to go for vetting and when not to go for vetting. So these are a lot of changes, and I think 10DLC is a moving ground. So what is the outlook for 10DLC later this year and moving forward in 2024?
Yeah, thanks, Nitin. Certainly happy to support you and your customers. And I'm so happy you asked Cinch to be part of it. The rest of 2023, we'll see more changes coming with 10DLC. 10DLC is still in its infancy, and the industry keeps making a few changes here and there based on customer needs. And we're always reacting to those spammers who try to skirt the system. We've seen a lot of changes over the last 2 years with 10DLC, and I'm hoping in 2024, things will be a little bit more stable. I think we'll also see a lot of growth in the SMB market, as there's still a lot of small, medium businesses that have not got into text messaging and don't know that's really the best way to communicate with their customers. So even though there's lots of major enterprises out there doing it today, I think the small businesses can get into the text messaging game as well in order to effectively communicate with their customers.
Thank you, David. I think that is all music for ears for a small business, because they need all the technology these days to compete and provide a good customer experience. Another intriguing piece is the carriers. Carriers are key players in this whole 10DLC and messaging game. Do you expect them to relax the norms a little bit or basically tighten all these rules and regulations?
Definitely in 2023, I think we'll still see the tightening of those knobs. There's a percentage of traffic out there that's still unregistered, and we've been trying to get people to register for the past 2 years or so. Certainly Cinch as a DCA, that's our goal, is to get everyone registered. And so we'll still see those knobs or maybe increase in pricing for that unregistered traffic, potentially more blocking and filtering on those messages as we move people to the A2P sanctioned route of 10DLC. Beyond that, we'll also see those bad actors still getting through. And so that is the main concern for the carriers, is to protect their customers from unwanted messages. That will always be the end game for the carriers and DCAs like Cinch. And so I think we'll see improvements in the spam mitigation platforms at both levels through 2023 and beyond.
That's a very important piece of this whole 10DLC, that the carriers are committing to this and they will do whatever they can to make this implementable. Finally, what I hope is that it becomes a transparent process, easy on the genuine customer, but definitely it is all good for the industry that we have genuine customers, genuine traffic, and we implement this process.
We've had some changes. The registration process has become a little bit easier as we've made things more stable. We'll still continue to see some changes, but I agree with you. I think that we want to get it to a point where it's very easy to sign up, be verified, register, and be off and running. And so there are some cases where that can happen today, and I think we'll see more of that in the future. So thank you very much, Nitin, for having me today. I really enjoyed being with you.
Thank you so much, David. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you.